Evening, and welcome back to the Plastic Crack podcast. It's myself, Ken from Miniature Wargaming Warriors. Got Dom from Boots on the Table.
Evening.
We've got Steve from Point HQ, and we have Martin joining us, Seventh Son.
Hello.
Welcome to the stream. And shall we kick it off?
Shall we start with the usual thing of can anybody hear us? Because that's
can everyone hear us?
Can anybody hear us? That would be great. Yeah. Well, I can see we've got testing. Here we go. Oh, bloody Paul Richardson's already started. He's sitting in the kitchen, sitting in the garden in the sun, bastard. Sitting here in the roasting hot. Never mind. Right. Peter Little's drinking his beer. Good for him. Well done, mate. So welcome on. Yeah, so we're honoured by another celebrity guest, Seventh Son, Martin.
We certainly are, mate.
Which is great. welcome to the stream and the madness. He follows it and he still came on. I can't believe the fools that do this. Steve did it as well. It's like, for goodness sake, what are you doing? Oh, Leslie says we can hear. That's great. So,
good.
For those of you who haven't seen Martin's channel before, do you want to give us a quick 30 seconds on what you tend to feature, what you do, and what it's all about?
Yeah. It's a general channel which was originally I started because I couldn't find the videos that I wanted to find on YouTube. And then after setting it up, I started finding everyone else's videos, like all you guys, which I couldn't start with. But yeah, it's wargaming and painting, but I try to focus on either less well-known games or ones that don't get as much exposure on YouTube, like things like Black Powder and Ateus and Arthur or things like that. So, I just try to do little tutorials or show ways that I paint things, just because that was what I was looking for. And then originally it started because I was looking for people who were using contrast paints on historicals right when the contrast paints came out.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any, so I bought some and then I used them to knock out some Wars of the Roses horsemen. So I suppose that's my main stuff at the moment. Is I'm doing a big Wars of the Roses project, and then I couple that with Black Powder and some other bits and bobs, though I do play all sorts. So
and I noticed you're specialising in games of your wife beating you recently. That's what
I wondered if that was going to come up. Yeah.
It's only 10 minutes in and I already started it. No, it's not even that. 3 minutes in.
Yeah. She
subscriber
grabbing. She did it because she was fed up of me moping about not having a game during lockdown, and I think I was complaining, and I think I kind of put forward the idea of maybe you could have a game. And she eventually took pity on me and then kicked the snot out of me.
You're a very lucky man. You're a very lucky man.
Yeah. There's no amount of
bribery
that I could offer that would get her to play any form of game with me.
I have to say it's the same.
Quite good. She does like games. She plays. She'll do board games and RPGs as well, but equally. It's half a chance she'll just turn around and tell me to piss off. So
it's still on for a winner.
It did take lockdown and her not being able to leave the house for her to actually have a game before of a miniature war game.
And quite a lot of alcohol, as it seems like, as well. Usually is.
No, the alcohol's been introduced since she started winning, in a hope that she'll. That'll
good plan.
Because the game, that was my plan. So yeah, we had a game of Dead Man's Hand at the weekend, which I thought might go more my way. It was one apiece, but I think I think that was more by luck that I won one of the rounds. So we've got a few more. So yeah, you should have to see how she does.
Excellent.
She's probably watching this in the other room as well. She'll
come and photo bomb into it, will she?
Yeah.
She maybe, yeah.
What did you say about me?
I'm sitting next to the fridge, so if she wants anything, she'll be right. She'll be right around.
So, how did you? What's your sort of gaming history? Where did you start out? And what did you?
I started in '94. I remember my friend bought White Dwarf to school, and it was I can remember it was a cover. It was a yellow cover that was all on fire with a bunch of blood angels getting out of a tank, and that was second edition. So I started with 40k, back when you just had the Marines with the simple bolter pose and the cool looking orcs, which I've still got somewhere. And then that slowly developed into fantasy, and I was pretty much an ardent Games Workshop player because I didn't know about a lot of games. I knew there was historical gaming, but I didn't know how to get into it when I was sort of 12 and 13 years old. I couldn't really find anything about it because you didn't have to, like, YouTube, and the internet was in its severe infancy. So I just carried on with lots of Games Workshop games, and then I went to university. I came back, and I got back into collecting Big Bretonian Army. My mate had just started doing it, and he was getting to orcs. And one day I just went into another shop and I saw some War Machine models, and I wanted to paint something different, completely different. So I bought some of them, and then it just developed from there. Malifaux, Bolt Action, Flames of War. I mean, all those there. That's my rule book pile of shame behind me there. That's and it just went from there really. And now I just play all sorts, and I don't really play any Games Workshop stuff now. I play a bit of Kill Team occasionally with my friends, but now I just that seems to have gone. I like historicals and things like that. So, yeah.
I've been watching you do a lot of medievals. Was one of the things I saw you doing, which not many people feature. I know Nick is on here occasionally. He does.
Oh yeah, his channel's wicked.
Yeah,
the videos he does are awesome.
Yeah,
they are wicked. I've got an alert on him, so when he does come up, that'll go on straight away. Again, if that might annoy my wife. But yeah, I do medievals because I do the Wars of the Roses because I'm fascinated by it because being English, we don't have it's one of the most brutal civil wars that has ever of all time, and nothing you could write in fiction can be as brutal. I mean, Game of Thrones was based partly on the Wars of the Roses. The horrible little evil boy king that's based on Richard II.
Yeah.
Edward IV is but the stuff that they did to each other, it was just loads and loads of blood feuds, and I think that's really fascinating to game because with quite a small collection of models, because they kept on changing sides, you can play out lots of different things. So and because the Perrys have made those awesome sets that are so customizable, and like Ste, I know he does kit bashing with the bolt action stuff. You can do really, really nice stuff with those medieval sets because they're all interchangeable.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can turn it down. Basically, I was at Salute and they were doing their deal. I think it was 3 boxes for 40 quid or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and that was it. You were hooked.
Happens now. Yeah, basically.
Did you go to Warfare last year to the Bring 'em By?
No, I've actually, the only convention I've ever made it to for wargaming is Salute. That's the only one I've ever made it to.
Yeah. Oh my god, there was so much medieval stuff last year. It was crazy. There was loads of it. Loads of it.
Warfare. Is that the one in is that Reading?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, please don't cancel it. Please don't cancel it. Please don't cancel it. It's the one more game show left I'm really looking forward to. And oh man,
I think it's a 50-50 myself. I really do. Oh.
Hi Alpha 7563. Hello, buddy. He said hello. Hello, Seb. Have you got any shout outs you want to do, Dom?
We've got Peter Little. He's here. He's drinking a bottle of Oakham's Citra Ale, apparently. Paul Richardson's in the garden, under the sun. Bugger. Leslie's here. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Who else we got? And that's everyone that's in the chat so far that I'm aware of. Good. So what you been up to then, Ken, this week? My printer's going off because somebody's bloody printing something. Great.
They come in a minute.
Yeah, they will. Guaranteed.
Imogen, are you printing out? Are you printing out some stuff for Black Seas? You better be.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be good. Literally, what I've been up to this week, bugger all. I've managed to do that video, and that's it. When it comes to painting, it's the first painting I've done for over a week because I've been so busy with work.
Yeah,
that's the first time in ages. I haven't even been able to do any of my special project. It's not fair.
Not the top secret, very small project. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that no one knows about.
That nobody knows about, even though I've told everyone about 4 times.
Yeah. So literally, I've managed to do absolutely nothing. Oh, it's Mark. Hello, Mark. Oh, sorry about Alpha. It's Mark. Yeah, I'll explain a bit more about that later. But yeah, no, literally nothing, mate. I'm trying to think. Did I actually manage to do any? No, nothing. I can't believe it. Can you ever believe you did that from me, Dom?
I can't, mate. I'm frankly disappointed. That's all I can say. And then you
I
went out and
needed
bought
to
a new
sleep,
set of
Dom.
rules,
That is a-
didn't
Yeah, you git. Yeah, cheers, yeah.
I got
Dom
him.
kindly returned the favour to me. Yeah, he did. He kindly returned the favour to me. He's been like talking about this Oathmark rulebook for the last few weeks because we're going to be playing fantasy, and yeah, as soon when you've done your video on it, I watched the whole thing twice, once after another, because I really enjoyed that video, and I was like, just sounds absolutely amazing. The lore behind it. The only thing,
Yeah.
and this is why I think you like. This is why I think you like it. It's not too fantasy.
No, it's not.
If that makes sense.
It's very medieval
It's not-
with a little bit of magic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is because I was looking for some dwarfs with gunshots, with gunpowder guns,
no.
and they haven't got any.
No.
There's no gunpowder, so I was like, "This is why Dom likes it." But I nearly gave something away then, but that was close. But yeah, but yeah, I looked through it and I was like, to be fair, mate, the rules seem interesting. I'll go through one rule quickly that I was really interested about. You'll probably understand this as well, Martin. Do you know when you do charging in fantasy, when you've got to get the wheels right and the angles and things like that, it can be a real pain in the arse, can't it? With this, when you do your charge, it doesn't matter about the angle. You always align up at the front. Okay. So if you charge in the front arc, you just align in the front arc. So you do 5 versus 5 or whatever, however many it is. So they pivot at the end of the turn. So you don't charge in at the foot. If you charge in at that front arc, so the 90 degrees, sorry, you'll end up going to the front. If you charge in the 90-degree arc to the side, you're charging the side and the back and all that sort of jazz. So there's only 4 arcs, so they automatically wheel into position instead of you having to like try and be extra tactical. They might be in the advanced rule, but that's what I was reading, and to me that seems a lot easier because it stops fights and arguments. Yeah, to say
it does make.
Yeah,
it
you're in that
simpler.
angle. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
yeah, it does. And to be fair, our first delve into a fantasy game, I'm not going to lie, that will probably be. These rules seem very straightforward. You already seem really clued up with them anyway.
Well, to be honest, they're so bloody easy to read. I just read them through, and they seem to be quite straightforward. In fact, I was just saying about the new War Games Illustrated magazine that's literally just came today. There's a battle report in there of Oathmark. So you might want
okay.
It's what's that? A human dwarf army against an elf goblin army. There you go. That'll set the purists raging, won't it? Mixture. But yeah, so yeah,
it's your own. But yeah, so yeah, that's what you managed to make me buy you, son. But the other thing I will say, go to Amazon. You use my affiliate link.
No, you git. You don't use my one.
I haven't got an affiliate link. Use Dom's.
Yeah. So where did?
And it was,
which link did you use?
quid.
You didn't use my bloody link, did you?
No, I didn't use any. No, I just went on there. I was like, I didn't even know you had one. To be fair.
Anyway, let's move on to someone sensible. Steve, how are you? Leslie wants to know how you're feeling. What have you been up to this week? I know you haven't been well.
Cheers, Leslie. I'm much better. I've been awful, crappy illness last week. It just hit me Tuesday morning. And I just couldn't, I had no energy. My throat felt like I had sawdust and bleh. It was just awful. But I did manage to do that kit bashing flamethrower that I made on Thursday, did the video Friday. That was my sole creative output last week. But yeah, thanks Leslie for asking, but I am well on the mend.
So I want to know, how big is your bits box? Because bloody hell, mate, you pull out bits of stuff out of that box and it's like you've got a bit of old, I don't know what, dishwasher mending kit or something, and then you stick it on the back of a figure and mould it in and it looks fantastic. And I think, how the hell do you do that?
I've got sprues. I've got on one of my shelves, it's just sprues and Warlord Games boxes full of bits and pieces. Then I've got plastic boxes from loads of different Games Workshop, Bolt Action, a whole host of things. But then I always find different bits and pieces just lying around. Like I said, the two of the parts of that flamethrower from a model helicopter. My dad gave me a bunch of bits the other week, and I ended up using those as well. So worked out quite well.
I love the fact you can just see it. You just look at that bit and go, right, that'll be that looks fine for a tank of a flamethrower or what have you. I think it's you must have some, I don't know, it's a very creative or very weird look on things.
A bit of A, bit of B.
Love it.
But no, the reason for that flamethrower is I was just on the couch reading a couple of books, and I saw a picture of a German flamethrower, which was a bit different to the ones that I'd made. And I literally dragged myself from the sofa. I thought, no, if I've seen it now, I've got to make it now. So I was at my desk for about an hour. I just needed to build something. And it went together quite quickly. And when I woke up on Friday, I felt like about a million times better. So I thought I'd just do a short video about it. But that was the only thing that I made last week. So quite a slow week.
Well done for that, at least. Apparently, Leslie says your bits box must be a bit like my garage. It's nothing like my garage, because my garage is full of plastic, unmade figures and unpainted metal figures. And there's no creativity in there at all. But I've got lots of them. Yeah, it's true. That's very true. Yeah. What about you, Martin? What have you been up to this week, apart from actually beating your missus in the game I saw today?
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but that was because that was a short range shot of a shotgun, so I don't think she's going to be making that mistake again in the next game. I've just been working on my 28mm Arthurian late Roman stuff, because I've got I bought the Lardy game Dux Britanniarum last year. Well, actually, it was my Father's Day present from last year, and to myself, and then my daughter. Anyway, so I've got that. So I bought the Gripping Beast plastics, and that makes up 75% of what you need. And the guy who I played Wars of the Roses against, he's going to be the Saxons, so we were going to play through that. But because I also play Saga, it'll double up for Ateus and Arthur as well. Yeah. So I've knocked out 12 figures, so I'm just trying to get another 16 done tonight, which would then be the whole sort of force done. And then I'm on to one more command base for Wars of the Roses, and then muskets and tomahawks. That's the plan after that.
Nice. Well, the Ducks rules, I mean, how do they play? Are they a bit like Sharp, but are they card driven?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you chuck the activation deck is. I've only ever seen Sharp practice actually on your channel. I haven't actually played it.
Sorry.
But yeah, you chuck the so for each of your nobles, you chuck one activation card. You number them 1, 2, 3, and then you draw them out of the deck. And then they activate, and they can activate units that are near them, or they can do something special, or they can draw new cards. But it's because it's got a campaign system built into it, so you can you choose your bit of Britain to fight over. You can build like new watchtowers and fortifications, things like that. The Saxons have to come raiding, then they have to earn wealth to pay your followers and to make yourself better so you can attract more followers. So the British start off with lots of levy, lots of people they've just given a spear and go and fight the Saxons. And the Saxons turn up with loads of hardened warriors, but eventually I think what happens in sort of the course of the game, the British start getting shock cavalry, which represent that kind of Arthur feel of things. And but they've done a lot. I know there's an expansion for it as well that lets you play as the Welsh and the Irish as well. So
it's weird. I love Lardy games, but I've never played it, and I keep seeing it, and I think, oh, I should get that, and then I get distracted. I've got too many rule systems anyway, but it just always looked quite an interesting one. I like the idea of the campaign.
Things that I can double up.
Mm.
Yeah, anything I can double up for rules. So if I can use this army for Saga, Ateus, and Arthur, and for that, then that makes it more attractive to me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So,
what about you, Don?
What have I been doing this week? Well, I've finished some more of these green buggers. There you go. That's another 20 of them done. They come out all right. I'm quite pleased with them.
Uh,
I've also done started working on some trolls. We're just discussing this. Apparently, I've done them wrong, so it's fine. That's all good. Done
hey, you haven't done it
colour.
wrong. They're yours. You do them as you want.
Did the spellcaster God's? I think he's called a God Speaker or something. Did him as well.
Is this one of the extra? Is this one of the extra ones you got? Is it?
Yeah. He's
The,
a little guy with he's actually really. You probably can't see him on there, but he's got
is that was it an eBay purchase? Was
yeah,
it?
it was. Yeah.
Is he one of Mantics or is he?
He's a Mantic. Yeah, I've stuck
type?
to the Mantics. I just thought it's easier to stick to the same manufacturer. So I've got. Well, mate, you've screwed me over, Big Style. I've screwed myself over, Big Style, but because of you. So I've got a whole load of them arrived the other day. It's like I've got some chariots, I've got some wolf riders, I've got.
Oh, the chariots are really nice actually, and the wolf riders are really nice
they're
models.
really good.
Yeah.
And I've got.
You have to get some goblins now as well to align in Oathmark.
Well, I'm going to go because we're going to play Oathmark. I've got some humans because I can repurpose some of my medievals that I've got already that I'm not using to do that. You see?
Yes,
See?
you can. Yes.
And I finished off a few more medievals anyway. I did some more of the what's the name? Oh God, I've forgotten the name. Manufacturer, but they're Claymore ones. Really, really nice Claymore. I think they're foot soldiers of Billman. That's it. They're really, really good. So I finished off those. So I think I've finished all them now, which is good.
The thing is, your like medievals would make a really nice Bretonian army. So you could make a Bretonian army out of those medieval figures you got, because obviously Bretonia, like medieval stuff. So it would look really nice as well if you played Warhammer. But definitely suit Oathmark 100%. You could cavalry in there and everything, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of. Like Martin was just saying, I like having figures that I can use in multiple rule systems and periods. So, I could use them as Saga, because you could use them as the crusading states in that. I've got those fighting monks within those figures, and then I think I've almost got enough now to do a small Hail Caesar game with them. Also,
really?
I must do a showcase of the army I've done so far, because I'm actually surprised myself. It's sitting here beside me. Got 3 boxes full of them.
Oh my God!
So it's like oh shit. They're not completely full, the boxes, but there's certainly a good number to a good sized skirmish stroke whatever game. So, but I'm also quite interested. The guy Andy Hobday who did that Kickstarter on the Baron Wars, he's the new one. He's also sending out the special set, a rule set that he's done for the Baron Wars period, which looks really interesting. It's sort of retinue based, so it's probably about 30-40 figures a side, all scenario based. It looks a bit like a medieval sharp, so it could be kind of fun. Could be really, really fine. So yeah, looking forward to that. Hey Lee, how you doing, mate? He's in the house.
Dom, have you had it?
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, have you had a look at Warlords of Error one?
It's funny. I was watching Tabletop CP have just put up a game today, and I was watching it while I was having my dinner. And it kind of is interesting because it's just like bolt action, isn't it? It runs on the same sort of bolt action principle, and but it uses D10s rather than D6s to hit and stuff. So it's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't know really. Have you played that?
No, I've got the book, and I've actually I've got an army. I used an old Warhammer Fantasy Battle Empire army.
Yeah.
And I combined them with some that company does a lot of plastic medievals. Is it
Fireforge?
to do a lot of Crusader stuff as well.
Perry's?
Fireforge, yeah, Fireforge. I bought knights to go with it, so it was an army that I built for. I bought was that box of knights. Everything else was a refashioned and repainted Empire army that I had when I was crikey, 19.
Got you. Nice. Was a comment here. Oh, Paul wants to know, Martin, is that an Emperor T-shirt that you're wearing?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Yes, it is.
Oh dear. So Lee from Battle Bunker blog is in the house. How are you, mate? How you doing? I've already mentioned Leslie and Paul.
Yeah, Lee.
Lee.
We've got the Kaiser modelling from Advantage. Hiya. How you doing, mate? Peter has totally cocked up painting his dragoon horses. There was dragon horses there for a minute. Why have you done that, mate? What have you done?
You can always
Silly.
strip and redo them.
Blimey. Yeah, and Leslie
Painful,
said I can
but
paint them any way I like. Quite right, I can. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, horses. I'm much better on horses, but that's all down to... Actually, that's down to you, Martin, I think, the horses. I'm doing all that stuff you were doing with contrast paints. That got me thinking, oh, I could do that. And it works really well. So, yeah, it's your fault.
It's the best thing for painting horses. It made it bearable.
it does, doesn't it? It does.
I hate painting horses. I did a whole mounted Swedish army for 15 mil.
Yeah.
Which seemed like a really good idea at the time, and that's what broke me. That and some Napoleonic hussars with all the lace. That did it. And then I didn't touch cavalry until those paints came out. So.
Just mention Napoleonics.
Napoleonics.
Ken going all twitchy.
Yeah. I love playing it. I'd love to play it, but painting the buggers, Jesus, how you have the patience?
See, I view like not the lace on hussars, but the cross belts and things like that. I think of it like when you have the trim on all the Space Marines to do. You got
I don't like painting Space Marines.
Right,
yeah, I know. On a dwarf, you have I know what you mean. You get trim on a dwarf. But yeah, it's still painful.
I'm trying to find ways to cheat. I've got some of these these acrylic paint pens.
Yeah.
Which I haven't really used yet. I've used them on just when I'm doing my flags, trying to bring out some details, but I haven't actually used them. So I'm in an iron about whether if they'll be good enough if I could just paint the entire model and then just go in and just dot in all of the stuff afterwards. But I don't know if that's just going to make things more complicated.
Yeah.
I think the easiest thing I've ever done with contrast paints has been like my ghouls from like the SPQR starter set. Yeah. One of those models literally takes like 3 minutes to paint. It is so quick because it's like three or four colors, and that's drying, so I'll do that. That's drying. Okay, that's done. Head done, and it's just like so quick. Never painted anything so fast with contrast paints.
So you'd be really good for doing the infamy stuff, then, Ken.
Yeah, probably.
Does that mean you're actually going to do it?
Well, I've got 60 ghouls already painted, done.
Oh, there you go. That's enough.
40 spears and sword. Yeah, 40 spears, 20 spears, 20 swords, and 20 archers I got, and a war chief.
Nice.
Pretty sure. So, but yeah.
So what we're all working on tonight then?
God.
Steve, what are you up to?
Early war French infantry.
Early war French infantry. Is that the recycling of your older figures that you were doing in one of those videos?
Yes. Yeah, it's the embarrassment of that. Do you ever look back at a project and think, what the bloody hell was I doing?
Frequently.
It's my friends at the moment are like about 10 different styles in the uniform. They sort of, look as if they're in the same project with the same army. These guys, they were just awful. So no, I'm repainting them. I'm using the same paint scheme over. Repainting them isn't actually so bad, and they're getting the treatment they should have had when I bought them 4 years ago.
Right.
But I love early war. Early war for me. I've never actually gamed early war, but I love the whole feel, the whole ethos of it. It's just, for me, it's one of my favorite parts of World War II. Is the first 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's quite good because you don't get the dominating weaponry that you do later war, do you? So it's a bit more up close, a bit more, I don't know, a bit more tactical. Maybe.
Everyone's a bit more on yeah, a bit more of an even playing field. Assault rifles don't come
Yeah.
into force.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah, cool.
So yeah, that's all I'm working. I'm going to finish these 5 tonight. That's my vow.
So you weren't actually stripping them back to start again, though, were you? You're just sort of improving them.
No. Yeah, so it's just basically, so half of the army was painted, half wasn't.
Yeah.
And the ones that were painted differently to each other. Some of them were absolutely diabolical. So all I'm doing is just basically going back and just adding the same colours across the entire project. So they've all got a uniform colour scheme, whereas they don't at the moment. It's coming out quite well. I've only got about 20 left to do.
Nice.
That's the whole lot finished. It's about 1,300 points, I think.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
I got it when Warlord used to do the. Do you remember the build an army for 75 quid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? What? I missed this. What?
Hang on, the bargain hunters missed something.
It was an old promotion that Warlord did, and you could basically get an entire army. I think I paid. Yes, my whole French was £75, and I got pretty much everything that I needed in that. They haven't done it for about 2 years. They pulled it a few years back, but
yeah, probably just as I bloody started.
They heard you were joining, and they said, "We can't afford that. You'll probably buy them all, sell them."
No, we'll make a minute. Yeah, we'll make a minute out of this
them.
geezer. That's what they bought.
But yeah, that's where my French came from. So it was normally you'd get your HQ, so many infantry options, artillery options, and then throw in a couple of I can't remember if was anything free thrown in. But I remember just not paying any more than about 75 quid for mine, and the whole army 75 quid.
Nice. I have to. I never actually bought one of those deals, but I wish I had because they were such good deals. And I remember thinking at the time, "Oh, that's a really good deal." But I had all sorts of bits and bobs of all sorts of different things, and I was trying to be a bit restrained. That'll make people laugh, but I was, and try not to start another project again. So I regret that really. But hey, never mind. What can I say? There's a couple of things in the chat. I'll just go back to that. Just.
I've got
so
one as well.
Paul says, have you been watching the Infamy the movie on the Lardy's channel? I don't know anyone else. I don't know whether you guys are. I don't think any of you guys are really into that Infamy, but I'm really excited.
I'm deliberately
1.5 episodes yesterday.
I watched it, and I've watched them avidly. I have to say, and it's funny, isn't it? And it's been interesting to see what everyone thinks. But your views on rules and games is completely coloured by your sort of bias towards one section or another. And clearly, Rich, who does the videos, is heavily into his Romans in a big way. So he seriously favoured them in the game that he was running through. And he absolutely twonked the Germans. I mean, literally twonked them. They did nothing, virtually nothing to him. And because I'm doing a German army, I'm thinking, not sure about that. And I started to look at it and think, actually, he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and would he have done it differently? But I thought it was really interesting. The rule system seems kind of fun. It does look interesting, and I do love it. It's a really story-based rule system. Really. It's about a typical Lardy rule system. I think it'll be really, really good. So yeah, I am still looking forward to it, and I'm planning this week to start on my German army. There you go, and not Second World War this time. Proper German army. Oh Jesus!
I've got one
now.
Yeah,
oh, we got new visitors.
I got one from the chat.
Oh, go on then. Carry on.
I got Martin. He's Alpha 7563 Martin. He's give a giveaway for my channel before. He says I use contrast on my. I think that says OSIS via the airbrush. Okay, OSSES OSIS. I think that's meant to be something else. Or am I right in pronouncing that?
I don't know. Oh,
No,
it's nice.
neither do I. But he uses it by the airbrush. He used contrast paint by the airbrush, and he said it's horses. Horses, not osses.
Oh, yeah, donkey.
So he used it via the airbrush for the horses.
Now, that's the ultimate laziness, isn't it? I mean, contrast paints are so easy to use, and then you're blasting them through an airbrush. Oh, it's just brilliant. I love that. That's brilliant.
They are good for an airbrush. They don't give you the same effect, but for smoothness, they're very good because they're obviously very thin as they are.
Yeah.
I have tried it, and it does come out quite nicely. It gives it a different finish to what you see with the contrast paints. But yeah, he said, "I'll let you know in a few weeks if Warfare is a go." Okay.
Nice.
Oh yeah, because he has a stand at Warfare, so he shall know in a few weeks.
Yeah.
He will hear. So we will know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Mark, not. Did I say Mark or Martin?
You said Martin, but it's fine. It all begins with M.
Mine, it's Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Aye. So Kaiser got a question. Chat. He said, question for the crew. Sometimes my Agrax dries shiny. Any ideas why and what to do about it? Go to a doctor, I'd say.
Dry shiny? You're not using the gloss. Not using the gloss one by any chance.
That's a good question.
Gloss version, don't you?
Is there a gloss version? That could be it then, if that's the case.
I know sometimes if a brain fart and don't shake it before, sometimes I'm just so anxious to use the Earthshade, I don't shake it. I get all in a tizzy, and sometimes it's dried, and yeah, it looks really, really shiny. So I've had the opposite effect though. Sometimes it's gone on, and it's looked like there's mud in it. It's a very strange thing. I think what it basically needs to do is just really, really shake the jar before the tub before using it.
Really good shake. And
definitely,
you could put some of those little agitator balls in them. That might help.
Yeah,
I do that now with a lot of the contrast. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does help because.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on. I was going to say you definitely with the contrast you get that build up of gunk crap at the bottom, like on this one here. But I've got an agitator in it, so it does help. And one of those, the nail polish shaker things, that really helps as well with an agitator in. Yeah.
And that has the added bonus of annoying the missus, which is really good because you say, "Why the hell are you using it for that?" Which is always good. So new guy here. I haven't seen you before. GP, hiya mate. He said got into you following via Martin's channel, whose recent video incidentally just influenced the wife to decide our next game is Dead Man's Hand. Yes. Thanks for the vids.
Choice.
There you go. So you've got one of your conspirators in here, Martin. Good stuff. Well done, you.
Hey.
Also, Medieval Warriors in the house. Hiya, mate. How you doing, Nick? You doing well, hopefully.
Yeah, Nick.
Who else have we got?
No, Nick.
I think that's it. Yeah, no, that's it for the moment. So good. What else? What are we up to? What we're doing at the moment, aren't we? I've forgotten already. We talked about that. What are you doing at the moment, Martin? What are you working on?
Just your Fury and stuff.
Oh, you said.
We spoke about that.
You did. Sorry, I've lost my place already. Look at that. God, bloody hell. Hold it together, Dom.
Who did we get to with that? Did we speak to all of us about that?
I don't know.
I think we did. Well, I'm painting Bretonians. I'm painting 10 Bretonians for the for Oathmark. So that's what I'm doing.
Good.
I don't think you explained what. Oh no, you said Germans. Yeah, we've done that bit, Dom.
All right, mate. We'll move on then. Shall we have? I'll tell you what. I'm going to have this as a new feature for the show. Is Peter's Corner. Peter Little. He sent in that blinding question last week, which had us all stumped about the scale of figures and how why do we worry about whether they fit when people aren't the same size? If you remember. So he sent me another one today.
Has he done it again?
It's in. Actually, I forgot to even look this up myself, so this will stump me completely. But so he says, "Good morning, all. Would each of the plastic crew crack? No, hang on. Plastic crack crew count.
Plastic crack crew.
Oh my god, I can't say it. Okay, would each of you count how many different white paints you have, and if it's above 3, allowing for primer, contrast, and specific type, why do you have so many? Why do you need them?" And if you're not mixing your shader white, isn't mixing your shades of white more satisfying and give you your own personal stamp on a figure? Are we so engrossed with speed and figure bashing that we've forgotten the art of painting and don't mix them anymore? So, Steve, you're a master painter. How many whites do you use? Probably not many in the German army.
That's a scurrilous lie. There we go. 5 whites.
5 whites. Okay, there you go. I think that's proving the point.
Foundation white.
Yeah.
Dead white. White. Brilliant white. And this one's so old that it's rubbed off. I can't tell you what it is.
You sound like
I got 5.
He does, doesn't he? Sounds like you're
Yeah, he does.
The thing is, though, I barely use white.
Isn't that weird? So you got all those colours and you hardly ever use them. That's brilliant.
No, I tend to
counting
use
off whites?
either ivory.
Yep.
Yeah, there's off-white count as well.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
whites, he wants to know. All different, all whites on the night. What kind of whites?
Oh Christ, that's a different kettle of
I'm going to go
fish.
for 6 then. I'm going to go for those normal 5 plus my ivory as well. That's sort of whitish.
6 whites. Okay. What about you, Martin? How many you got?
Still counting.
I can see 5 at the moment, but I'm sure there's another one that I've lost. But
So we'll count 6 for you as well. Ken probably's got about 26.
I have 3. 7.
7. I think I've got 5, so that evens it out. So it's averaging 6 between us all. There you go. So 6 different colours of white. And his point is well made. So given the fact that it's actually even a fool like me could mix different versions of white very, very simply, why do we have so many? And why don't we mix
Because I want it to be uniform.
Right.
I want it to be uniform every time. That'd be mine. If I'm going to use a white, I don't want to mix it in a year's time and think, how the hell did I mix that? Because I know I don't write it down. And plus, I fell into the Games Workshop hype of, oh yeah, you need this white, that white, this white, this white, do this color, that color, just to make your Space Marine look super awesome. Okay, white's white, but yeah, no, that's for me. I've got, oh for God's sake, typical. I get called out. Right, carry on without me. 2 minutes.
Okay, well, it looks like we're going to lose Ken to work. Never mind. Yeah, interesting one. I don't know. It's. I mean, certainly, I would say the premise that are we so engrossed with speed and figure bashing that we've forgotten the art of painting. I've never been involved in the art of painting. It's all about figure bashing and getting them out as quickly as possible for me. But you two gents, I think, take a little bit more pride and time in your figures. What do you reckon? Why don't you mix the paints more? Why do you use all the different because you could say the same about not just white. You could say the same with all the different versions of brown. I mean, I must have about 30 different browns. I mean, Jesus, they're coming out in years. But again, you could really easily mix it. And I think Ken's got a point about coming back to it and being able to replicate the color easily. But why don't we mix?
Yeah,
I think for me.
Yeah, go on. Right.
I think for me, because I predominantly paint World War II stuff and it's drab and it's a bit, dingy. I tend to find that I use dark when I'm highlighting. Because like I said last week, I'll always use sunny skin tone on green to do a highlight. If I need just something really light, I'll just use ivory. But straight white. When I did those Napoleonics, I used white then. So I think it's all about, for me, it's all about the period you're painting. I wanted my Napoleonics to look bright and pop, whereas with my bolt action World War II stuff, I want to look drab and a bit grim.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't use straight white on those guys.
What about you, Martin?
I was going to say
Sorry.
Well, I think it comes down to the army or the painting project. If Napoleonics are used just the same white, and I want to keep that uniformity. But if I'm doing a skirmish game where it's a proper skirmish force where every single model is different and like its own character, then I guess that's just me being lazy, and I just want to pick it out of the bottle. I did that. I just finished doing a Wild West Exodus Force, and every one of those models has got its own color scheme. There's no uniformity between models. I just wanted to do something completely different because I've done so many Napoleonics. So I think it just comes down to, for me, just what is the project. I've got Italians to do. I've done 24 already, but I've got another 100 to do from Napoleonics,
and they're all white, aren't they?
So that's a base coat of very, very light grey. Then the what's the contrast white?
Apothecary,
which is grey anyway. But then I dry brush that with the dry brush white, and then I use white scar on the belts. So I don't know.
Have you ever tried Off-One grey from GW for Off-White?
Yeah, I got it, and it dried up ages ago, and I think it's here. Yeah, it's here, and I never went back and bought it again. And I don't know why.
You need dropper bottles. Dropper bottles.
Oh God, you got him started again. You just fed him it.
It's just as bad as bloody. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just want to bring this up quickly because I'm gonna have to shoot in a minute. But Dom is slyly putting things in his videos to wind me up. It's official. He's slyly putting things in there to wind me up. And you guys know what it is already, don't you? Don't you, Steve? You know what it is. It's the thing that we can't be.
Last week when I watched the video, first thing that jumped out at me, I was like, he's based this swim wagon.
No.
I literally sat there. I was sat on my bed, right, watching it, and then it come up, and he said, "Oh, it's my swim bag," because he didn't even mention it, and I literally went, "You bastard!" And do you know what? I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
It actually looked alright because it was really small.
Brilliant. Outstanding.
Oh,
Jesus. That was the funniest thing.
But as soon as I saw that, I just thought, I wonder what Ken's reaction is going to be when he sees this.
Yeah, it literally was, "You bastard."
I think that was all I got as a comment from him in the comment section was, "You bastard," and that was it. It was like, yeah, result. It worked.
I was watching your stream last week when you were doing that. That whole thing come up, and my wife walked past just as you said that. And to be fair to you, mate, she did say, "Base in a tank. Why would you do that?" And then she just carried on walking.
Yes.
Into the other room.
Yes. Why would you do
At this rate, I'm gonna get some kind of persecution complex if this keeps on.
I've already told you we can't be friends.
That was what he sent me as a Facebook message. He said, "We can't be friends anymore. That's it. It's all
No.
The thing is, Steve, I'm really disappointed.
Nothing
nobody's
wrong
gone
with
and
it.
bombarded his face, and nobody's gone on Ken's Facebook page and put loads of pictures up, and I'm really disappointed. I really want
because
to see
they agree with me. That's why they agree.
They don't.
Now the thing is, I bet Steve does some really awesome bases as well.
He does.
That's the thing. I bet they are really, really, really sweet. I'm just jealous, mate. I'm
No,
jealous.
I mean, the artillery piece. Yeah, I went completely over the top with that. But generally, it's sturdiness, but also just to sort of link it into the rest of the army. When I finally get around to doing the trucks for my SAS, they're going on massive, great big bits of cork.
Lovely job. Yeah, that was. I'm very pleased that went down so well. Evening, Duncan. I had Duncan FX in the house. We've also got Nick Games.
Duncan.
Nick, how you doing, mate? And Phil S is in the house.
Secretly, Duncan Rhodes.
Duncan Rhodes.
Yeah, secretly it's Duncan Rhodes. He's a fanboy. You see my Facebook picture on my personal one. It's me and Duncan and Liam, isn't it? I had to bomb him when we were at Games Day not Games Day. What's it bloody called? Oh God, what do Warhammer call it nowadays when they're open day or something?
Okay. Games
or whatever that is.
World or whatever it is. I don't know.
No, I can't remember. But we were trying the new contrast paints. Basically, he was in a bad mood then, so we guessed that he found out that he was the contrast paints might kill him off, and he was like, "Nah, screw this. I'm getting out of here beforehand." You know what I mean? He's done all right. Ain't he? 100,000 subs already.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that today.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
I was
Some
like,
of them go up
damn.
crazy, don't they? Jeez. So yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. Actually, we sort of touched on it already. Is apparently, so I picked up from somebody else's video because I plagiarise everybody, of course. This week or the weekend was the first anniversary of contrast paints coming into the market, which seems extraordinary, really.
Sweet.
So I think Steve, you don't really use them very much, do you? But I think everyone else here does.
Never used them.
You never use
No, I've never. The thing for me, and maybe this is just my massive OCD kicking in. I can't. The thought of painting over a grey or a white undercoat, it's like anathema to me. I just couldn't do it.
You play with black,
that's the only reason.
Do you play with black then?
I mean, I suppose. I suppose they have their place. I mean, I probably could find some use for them, but I don't know. I really don't know why I've never used them, apart from I don't like the idea of painting over a white undercoat or a grey undercoat.
I can paint over anything but grey now. Can't stand black. Seriously, can't stand to paint over black.
Yeah, it's funny when I
Drives
used
me
to paint.
insane.
I used to use black all the time, but no, I'm solely grey now, light grey. Seems to be everything now.
It's all about
do
I use
contrast.
No, my go-to is brown. I base coat everything in burnt umber. That's my kind of standard go-to paint for base coating.
Oh, okay.
Okay, interesting.
Quite interesting. Yeah, well, you do a lot of World War II though, don't you? So it makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason to do it. But strange thing is, but when I did those Napoleonics, I used brown on them as well.
Right. Interesting.
It's what we know, isn't it?
It is, and I guess you get familiar with how the colours work on top of it and so forth. But yeah, I mean, I have used brown, and I cheated with one of my Russian armies by largely painting them all brown and then just putting a wash over the top and doing their equipment, and that was kind of bish bosh done, and it came out pretty well. Ken was talking about barbarians and stuff. I did a whole load of barbarians exactly the same way. Just got a flesh tone spray can and just did the whole lot in that, and then just put a wash on it and picked out their bit of equipment and the trousers, and that was it, done. So it is. I kind of do that, but I have to say I'm now converted for grey. But I was wondering with the whole contrast thing, and I know it was one of those things, and I very honest, I'd say that when I first heard about them, I thought it's a con. Well, there's no way they're going to be any good. It's just another marketing attempt by Games Workshop to get more money off us. But actually, I couldn't manage without them now. I really couldn't. I find them invaluable as part of what I do and for helping the speed of getting the figures out on the table. So, I mean...
Especially with your garage.
Well, exactly. Too right. I've got someday I'm going to need to actually get in there. That would be really nice. Jeez. Actually, I got as a complete aside, I managed to buy myself a little storage thing to go in the garden where I'm moving all the stuff into.
What are they like for painting flesh?
Bloody amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah, really good. Really good. Yeah.
I don't paint flesh anymore. I use Gilliman flesh, and 9 times out of 10 I'll call it done. If I really want to take a bit of detail, I may go over it with a flesh tone and just for highlighting, if I really want to, but otherwise for not. Let me see if I can find one here.
I'm copying Martin's approach. So I picked your one for doing flesh because I like that with the
what was that?
The pale. You do a pale skin tone.
Oh, yeah. I used the GW paint. I used to just use the Gilliman flesh straight, but I thought it just looked a bit chalky or something like that. I don't really know the way to describe it. So what I did was I tried finding something with a bit of a warmer tone. So I used that pallid witch flesh, and then I put the Gilliman flesh over that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a really good idea.
And then it just looked a little bit more like they were less dead. even though
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It worked, and then I always tend to highlight a couple of times, but I used I've got loads of these P3 paints, the ones that the War Machine lot make, and they've got quite a lot of nice flesh tones. So I'll just, if it's a helmeted figure, I don't usually bother. But if there is, someone who's got like a decent facial expression that I want to bring attention to, I'll chuck on some highlights on the cheeks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I pitched that idea, and I found I had some. I don't even know where I got it from, but it's just called Pale Flesh or something, and I do exactly that. So I have my bigger paints. My base color is light grey. I put quite a watery coat of that pale flesh on it, so they look like they're all undead, and then I use the guillemets over the top of it, and it works really nicely. It does look really, really good. So I think that's a really good system. But I just think it's become, for me certainly, the whole contrast thing has become so useful just as part of it. I wouldn't say I would exclusively use contrast, but certainly it becomes a large part of the
mix is very good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a mix is very handy. When I first started doing my historicals, it wasn't long after the contrast paints. Well, it was literally after a week or so after they come out, and I was doing contrast videos of all my World War II stuff, and that was just pure contrast stuff. And people still want to see that, so they still want to see all these uniforms just with the contrast paints, because I guess people just don't want it 100% accurate, but they just want a rough estimate of what to do.
Yeah,
it's just a dumb thing. I've got to admit, I jumped on the hype train with that. With the contrast paints, massively.
Sub hunt.
Yeah, it was, because no one had done it. No one had done them, so I was like, I'm going to be the first, and I was. So I was happy.
Nice.
But yeah, now I do a mix. So I'll tell you what, a dry brush over contrast paints can go a long way as well. Definitely, especially for armor, like you've done, Dom. That's definitely helped, and I'll be doing that on some of these.
And it's weird, isn't it?
Sorry,
because there
I'm
was
just,
such. I did see a lot of videos, people really having a go about it and really sniffy about it as a paint. And I was watching a video over the weekend. I can't even remember. It was an American YouTuber who does loads of subs, and he was talking about the fact people were complaining when it came out that it was cheating. It was making it all too easy. And I was thinking, how the hell is that possible? It's that's the whole point, isn't it? You want to make them as easy as you can to make them look as nice as they can. So that whole it's like, my God, what is going on? Very odd.
How could that be described as anywhere? It's not a competition. It's just if you want to get if you want to get your things to the table quickly, this is a method for doing it. It's not. No one's going to say he's used contrast paints. It's But there was a certain elitism and kind of snobby kind of aspect to them when it came out.
Yeah, but you know how there are certain elements within the hobby, much as we're all lovely fighting folks here and watching these channels, but there are some very odd characters that get very worked up about these little tiny things, and you think, what the hell, get a life. I mean, Jesus.
It's better than grey plastic, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. I think that might have something to do with the way that they were initially marketed, though, as well. They were kind of like, the videos I saw was kind of like, here's the cure-all,
right?
For paint, and and then there would, you could see the normal method and then the contrast method, and I don't know how many of those photos were the contrast method, but and then so I don't know if that rubbed some people up the wrong way. I mean, I think like if you're using them in conjunction with methods that work for you, if you can find a use for them, and go for it. That's the
absolutely.
There's some colours in there that I don't get on with. I can't get on with the really pale blue, the really pale one. I can't remember which one that is now. I just could not ever get that to do, or I don't know if I just was using it wrong. I don't know, but it wouldn't do.
Was it the Leviathan blue, or are we talking the Space Wolves? Yeah.
No, it's Leviathan blue. I've got Talisar blue, which I use all the time.
But
yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's nice and bright, that, isn't it? Nice and bright.
And then you can always bring that down a bit later if you do some sort of washes at the end. So.
I hate to admit it because I hate the Smurfs, but the ultramarine blue is actually really good. It's a nice covering. It is a nice covering for colour. And I really like the skeleton horde. Well, in fairness, I like most of them. There's not many I don't like. I don't have much use for the orange though. I don't get much use out of the orange. It's a bit of a weird one.
It has
and
a very,
I
very
use a lot of-
two-tone colour when it goes on sometimes, doesn't it, that orange? It's weird.
Yeah, I have found that some of the oranges and the yellows, I've seen some of these models that are painted in contrast, like the lizard men have got this big old ass dinosaur with loads of scales.
Yeah.
And if you just slap it on, like they say, slap it on one thick coat, right? It will look like crap because all the red will pull and things. If you then, after you've slapped it on, go in and then start just spreading it out so it's not pulling and it just pulls where you want it to pull, it dries and it does look really good.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with it, is you don't want it pulling in one place, and it can just make the model turn absolutely rubbish. You have to go in there and have a fiddle afterwards. But have you got any other questions for me? Because I am going to have to shoot. I am going to have to go down heading.
That's all right, mate. We can carry on without you. I've got a few quick. I was going to ask you about basing on vehicles, but you probably don't want to talk about that right now. So it's all fine.
Let me just check my chat just to make sure. Guys, if you're watching on my channel, head over to Dom's channel and continue watching there, because obviously I've got to go to work. So
Poor
happy
old
days.
bugger.
Thanks
Somebody's
anyway,
gotta
guys.
Keep the industry going.
I'll
Good luck, mate. Have a good evening.
Yeah, someone's got to keep the world going, haven't they?
Someone's
probably no worries. Someone's probably got their internet down. They're missing our stream. That's why they called me out.
That's what it is. The emergency call out. Someone's hit that red button and gone.
Oh, take care, mate.
Yeah, all right. See you later.
Take it easy, guys.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
See you again.
So let's have a look in the chat. So we've got Nick Games saying, love that the OCD around painting is widespread over the community. Not only me that can get OCD about painting, try not to spend hours on one miniature. Yeah, no, not me, mate. It's out the door. Done. Bish bash bosh. GP says, random question. What is everybody's main painting brush size for their 28mm painting? What do you use? What about you, Martin? What's your number one go-to?
The number one go-to?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at them now. Just trying to. I've got. I guess I do the majority of all the work with like a 1 or just a single 0 brush. I guess. Because again, it saves time. I used to do everything with a detail brush. I think that was the way. When I was younger, it was just like I'm gonna do everything with fine detail, and it just took ages. So no, most of the time, number 1 brush for doing things. Then I come in with a 00 for doing detail work.
What about you, Steve?
000 for everything.
000. Okay.
I know it's
You do everything in such a weird way compared to everyone else. I just love it. It's like, wow. For me, it's I'm a bit like Martin. I do the same. I started off years ago. I used to use really detailed brushes, and now I kind of use actually quite a big one. And I found that actually I'm happier using that. I mean, I still use the real detail ones, the 0s and 00s and what have you, occasionally. But it's mainly a 1, I think, something like that. I can't even think what it is. It's just whatever that.
Again, it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So at the moment I'm doing cloaks, so I'm going to be using a number 1, but straight after that I've got to go in for belts, so I'll use a smaller brush for those.
Yeah. Well, Phil reckons 30 and a 0, the only 2 sizes you need. I go bigger. I think I have a 1. I think 1 and a 2 a lot of the time, and then for real detail, a 0 or 00. Well, ignore Steve because he's weird. Very weird. So what else we got here? Lee agrees. Contrast is certainly another tool in the toolbox. Yeah. Nick says the same. Nick says it's great for boots, leather straps, and hair. Yeah, hair. It's really good. Love that. It works so well on hair. Peter's describing my garage as the 8th wonder of the world. not according to the missus, that's for sure. GP says contrast paints work wonderfully over Army Painter Skeleton Bone Primer Primer Spray. Even does the warm flesh with a slightly yellow tint. Yeah, I can imagine that. For sure. Contrast paints together with other paints is the best. You can mix and work with the correct paints for the job, for your own goal that you want to achieve, says Nick. Again, yeah. And Duncan, no, I don't think he's found that pot of paint he chucked over his shoulder. He's probably just ordered, and he's probably just got somebody to send him a new one, because he's such a he's always on the scrounge from somebody. It's ridiculous. Yeah, brilliant. There we go. Lots of other. Everyone's been rude about my garage. Stop it now. Stop it right now. So, I was going to ask you a question. So this came up on. I don't know whether you guys follow Ralph Astley. Does a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So he did a question on one of. Or it wasn't really a question, but he was talking about it on one of his recent videos, and it got me thinking about it. But he was sort of speculating about why we collect minis, and sort of make everyone laugh, whether we can ever have enough of them. And he was sort of saying that he used to buy loads and loads of figures. He buys loads and loads of figures because he was thinking when he retires and he hasn't got any money, he'll have them all ready because they won't go off. He can then paint them all up, and he'd have a nice backlog to keep him busy through his retirement, which I kind of thought was an interesting justification. But what about you, Steve? Can you ever have enough miniatures? And what makes you buy them?
I don't know. For me, relative shoebox, so I'm limited for space.
Yeah.
So I make a conscious decision to only really buy what I need. Years ago, when before I moved here, where I used to was even smaller, but I still had masses of figures on shelves in a little room.
Yeah.
I think there's probably merits to both. I mean, at least the benefit be you can mix it up. So if you a week on bolt action, let's spend a week painting some Napoleonics. Let's go do some Wild West Exodus. So there is that. But for me, it's concentration. If I know I've got 7 or 8 projects all over the place, I don't know. I get distracted. I'm easily distracted by shiny things. I think I was a magpie in a previous life or something. So that's why I'm quite disciplined about what I work on now. So I'll only work on 2 or 3 things at a time.
Yeah.
If I went out and bought everything that I wanted, I'd be sleeping in a cupboard. But that's it. It's for me. It's space, and also just to keep me focused on what I'm actually working on.
Right. But if you had all the space in the world, what would it?
If I had all the space in the world, if I had my own like Indiana Jones type warehouse, my God, there would be. I think I'd be like 159 by the time I got to the first shelf. But no, for me, it's it's a practical thing. It's just have enough in that I can work on, that I can still kit bash, but without going completely, Roger Wrench at the same time.
Yeah. What about you, Martin? You ever have enough minis? Can you stop yourself buying more?
No, and I tend to do things when I'm drunk and I buy.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was your purchase. That was hilarious.
Yes, 80 quid's worth of Carthaginians, which turned up, and I was incredibly surprised about. The guys who I game with, because I don't go to a club, but there's 4 guys, there's 4 of us, and we game every week or try to. And one of them has a good saying, which is basically, I heard if you run out of minis that you die. That's a justification. I like having lots of different things to work on because I don't know. Sometimes I look at, say, Napoleonics, and I completely get where like Ken comes from about it, and just oh God, I can't be bothered to paint that, so I'm going to break out something which is I consider fairly straightforward in comparison.
Yeah.
I play a lot of games, a lot of different games. So I think the idea was always, oh, I don't need that. And then I look at it and I go, well, I do have like that space there. So like I've got that gap at the top of the bookshelf behind me,
Yeah.
which is reserved for Gangs of Rome. All that's going to be Roman buildings, but I've only made one at the minute. But so I look anywhere, and if I see it, I go, well, it could be worse. I could be, it could be motorbikes or cars or something that I'm spending the money on, which actually my wife might prefer. But,
Yeah, actually, I just realised I could have landed you right in it, because if Hayley's listening to this stream, then you could be in all kinds of trouble, couldn't you? Talking about all your purchases.
yeah. She when I was when that package turned up, I got back from work and this big white box from Victrix was sitting there, and I didn't really know what it was. I didn't see the Victrix, so I thought it might be a Kickstarter that I backed that had turned up. And I started taking. She was sitting there looking just rather sort of bemused, and just almost incredulous look on her face as I just started pulling out war elephants and then Carthaginian warriors, and then the fact is that I'd also ordered the transfers as well, the little big men transfers.
You were obviously not quite drunk enough, because you remembered that little detail to remember to do that.
But and then there was this frantic flipping back through my emails and my bank statement, trying to work out what had happened. And I know exactly what it was. It's because Hayley went to bed early, and I sat there drinking. I think it was whiskey, and I was watching a documentary just called Hannibal, the Man Who Hated Rome. And I know that I thought, oh, that looks good. And I've seen some other videos on here that the other guys do, and I always thought, oh, the Carthaginians look cool, and because they had this really cool allied army of Iberians and the Gauls and the Carthaginians, you could just buy one each of the Victrix sets, and you've got a massive army.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, it's down here. This box, I haven't opened it again. I took it around my mates to sort of open it up, and then that's it. It's just sitting there.
You don't have to justify with us, Martin. We're all the same. We're all sinners together. Don't worry. It's absolutely fine. This is a confessional.
Do you know what my worst drunken purchase ever was? Is just, I have no idea what I was doing. This package turned up. It was from Amazon. I was like, I've not bought anything from Amazon. And when I opened it, it was a hardback book printed in the 1950s, I think, or 60s. It was the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft and Demonology. I was like, what on earth was I? So I went back like Martin. I went to check my emails. I was like, I ordered it at like 3 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I literally no recollection of buying this. And I wasn't what you call, 3 sheets of the wind, but I must have been slightly squiffy. It's sat in on a bookshelf in the living room. It's a strange book, but
Do you know? I don't think you were
late night shopping.
I think you were possessed. That's the only thing. I think you must have been.
I was going to say, I've been possessed.
Yeah, I think the ghost got to you and made you buy it. Yeah.
It's this big old brown book, and it smells of old. It's horrible.
I love a good old book, though. It's all good. I think that's fantastic. Did it have chains on it? Because that could be really scary if it had them on. It could be in real trouble.
No, I checked to make sure it wasn't bound in like human flesh and written in blood or something.
100 years ago, I trained down in Hastings, and down there, I think it was Bexhill-on-Sea, I think it was, and there was supposed to be the home of Aleister Crowley. Was supposed to be down there, and there was bookshops all over the place that claimed to have all his wisdom and what have you. So there was some very dodgy things going on in some of those bookshops, I have to say. So just be thankful you didn't get possessed by some of them. Bloody hell, that's scary. Jesus. So Alpha 7563's just jumped over from Ken's channel. How are you, mate? Welcome to the proper stream. Well done. Well done, you found us at last. Oh, and Ken's listening, so he's actually listening to the right stream. Well done, boy. Good on you. And Peter, no, I don't put any of my lead in the roof, in the loft, because the ceiling would give way. It can't go up that high. It's structurally dangerous to put it up there. Absolutely true. So it's funny because that whole question, what struck me with Ralph talking about all that was I was thinking, Jesus, yeah, and I've been thinking surprisingly for a little while, I have a bit of a problem with the amount of figures I buy. And I'm not going to go all confessional on here about it all, but it was like, I thought, Jesus, yeah, why do I buy so many? Because I genuinely can't stop myself. I sit and I'll just get really excited about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have this project, and I think in fairness, most of them see the light of day. There aren't many that don't. But that said, I only have one gaming night a week normally to game, and there is only so many times you can play again. you can't constantly be playing changing rule systems every week, because you kind of want to play the same thing time to time. So apart from the fact, as I say, I try and buy figures that I can play multiple systems with. But I think it's just the fact I just love collecting them. I've got them in this room where I am here in cabinets, some of them anyway. And I look up at them and I think, geez, I love them. It's just great. It just make me happy all the time to see them. It's just really weird. But could I ever have enough? No, absolutely not. Impossible to have enough. Impossible.
Do you ever find it like a research thing? So you'll be reading a novel or a book about something you have no intention of gaming, and then you just wonder if anyone makes figures for this period, or sort of like,
all the time, mate. All the time. Yeah. And that's a killer for me. Carry on.
So I was going to say, at the minute I'm struggling because Infamy, I don't know, it's hooked my interest, and I don't know. I keep checking Amazon, thinking I'll get a box of Romans. I'll just start off with some Romans, or I'll get some of those Germanics. Then I just look at all the bolt action stuff I'm going to paint. I think, you got to stay on course. But I watched 2 of the videos yesterday. Colour me very interested.
Oh dear. So we're going to start seeing other than Second World War bolt action videos appearing on your channel mysteriously, will we?
Quite. Well, I mean, last year I did a series of videos when I was building that Warlords of Era one, but since then it's just been pretty much 99% bolt action. But I like the idea of ancient skirmish games. So I think that to me is the big selling point for me, is that you've got the diversity of painting, Romans and Gauls and Celts and Germanics, but you don't have to paint 400 of them to have a game.
Yeah,
that's really appealing to me.
Yeah, I've just picked up Impetus, because I watched Nick Medieval Warriors. I watched his review of the Impetus system, and what I loved about it is it goes back to this huge multi-base. So I think the normal size for a base is 12 centimeters by 6 or 8 centimeters, and that's it. And the rulebook is filled with these amazing images. There might only be 10 models on there, but it's done in a really nice diorama of people charging. There might be a couple of dead bodies over there, and that's it. That's the unit. And I really like the idea of that. So I'm stuck at the minute because I bought it. So I might use it for my Wars of the Roses as well. So I don't know. I might do my Carthaginians when I get to them and actually just make these large bases. But I don't think you need a huge amount, because again, it's about the base size. And if you can make 8 men maybe look like 12. You start to break it down a bit.
Yeah, my only problem with those, and I love the look of those big base things, and I think you guys do some fabulous sort of mini dioramas with that sort of thing, and I do love the effect of seeing them en masse. My only problem is I don't like games where you don't remove figures. When you've got these big blocks moving around and you just put a little marker by them, I would rather remove figures. It feels wrong somehow. I like to see the opponent's unit being whittled down in number. Yeah.
See, I went another way. When I was playing Games Workshop for years, and I had a Dark Elf army who were really squishy. So it annoyed me that I spent hours painting all these models, and then I was having to use a shovel to remove them off the board because they were just dying so quick. I wanted to actually see them on the board for longer. So when I played bolt action, and I had to get my head around the system of actually adding casualties on, and that's part of the reason I used actual little casualty models.
Yeah.
It's sort of like adding on for that extra effect has made it feel a little bit, better, and not just like, especially if you're playing green skins. If you have all those orcs that you just painted up, and then you just have to remove them all in just one go, It's a little bit.
It's the old Colonel Melchett dustpan and brush sweeping them off the table. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In second ed, 40k, I had an Imperial Guard army.
Yeah.
And they were smushed on a regular basis. It'd be like, there you go, there's 80 men. Oh, that's 80 men gone in one turn. Brilliant stuff. That was an entertaining game, wasn't it, chaps?
I've said that's one of the reasons why I didn't like 40k when I played it. I only played a couple of games of it. I just didn't like that fact you spend all this time, you make all this effort putting these figures together, and you really like them, and especially your best unit would be the first one to get absolutely obliterated within the first 2 seconds of the game. And after 10 minutes, you looked at your army, and there was only like 4 units left out of the 20 you'd laid down, and it's like, oh, I was like, oh, it just didn't feel right somehow. It was just me, really. I don't know. It's just odd. It's funny though, isn't it? Because I think I do love big battles, and I think those sort of impetuous rules, the sort of sword point is another one that does it pretty well. I think. What's that one with the cards? I can't think. There's a game that uses a card system to drive it. I've seen Nick play that.
Ultimate Glory.
No, For the Strongest, I think it is. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some lovely games like that, and seeing people play them, big table games with big units in 28mm figures particularly, just looks visually stunning. But I still struggle to find a rule system that I really enjoy playing that sort of size battle, where you're removing individual figures, where it doesn't become a complete dice fest. So it's sort of just a bit weird. It's just, I don't know, just feels very odd to me. Yeah, I don't know. Ralph's on.
I don't think I've ever actually played what.
Sorry, carry on.
I've never actually played what I'd call a big tabletop game. I've played like 40k bolt action, but I've never played anything sort of larger than that. That was the reason we were supposed to be getting into 6mm gaming years ago.
Yeah.
So we could have massive, huge games. But I went a bit funny painting 6mm, so that went out the window. But no, I've never really. The thing is, though, I prefer the smaller game. We had a game of 1,500 points. 2,000 point bolt action game, and for me, it felt too big. I didn't like the amount of troops that were on the table. It felt a bit too full. So I think I just prefer smaller games.
My God, you are really weird, Steve. That's amazing. I've never heard anyone say that they don't like all the figures on the table. It's extraordinary.
No, I had virtually all of my US Marines. I was like, this just looked bizarre. Everything I own is on the table. So no, I wasn't happy with that.
That's amazing.
See, we play sort of in our sort of little gaming group. We play probably on a weekday or normal thing. We'll play sort of skirmish to large skirmish size games, things like Dead Man's Hand or Saga. We're looking at Wild West Exodus, those kind of size games, or a good board game.
Yeah.
And then sort of once every set of holidays, we try and organise like a Saturday around my mates, and that'll be a 6 foot by 8 foot board, and that would normally be black powder, and that's all my stuff, because I've got about 1,200 Napoleonics that I've done, I think, something like that. But we kind of roll that out, if you like, every now and then. But part of the videos I did in lockdown was because I think of some of the things that put people off starting the things like Black Powder or Hail Caesar these days is the idea of mass battles. And I wanted to show that you could play it in an evening, with just smaller brigades.
Yeah.
Just change things up a bit, and it worked. So I think I've had a couple of people comment saying that they, because of that, they've gone actually checked it out.
I think it's a huge consideration. I think of any. I think we've talked about this a few times on the channel, but it's doesn't harm to talk about it again. But the sort of that balance between, for people who've just got an evening to play a game or 4 hours to play a game, You know, a smaller scale game or a game that runs quickly is a huge consideration, and as a result, you kind of often have to downplay the sort of pure accuracy of the game, because to make it simpler enough and quick enough to play for people to pick up and go, yeah, this is fun, this is easy. Or, you know, whereas if you've got the luxury of a massive great gaming table or a room that you can leave it set up and come back week after week, you can play those but very sophisticated and very, you know, historically accurate, inverted commas, games that can stay up. But that sort of Black Powder, Sharp Practice, Saga, all those games are so quick to play, really. I mean, they're designed to be played out in an evening for, you know, good sized game. And it's not, as you say, it's not a huge investment in figures, really, to build the armies you need to play them. I think that's good, myself. Leslie will probably sniff. He likes his proper historical battles, I know. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
And Ken's bloody
That's why I
heckling
like
in the
playing.
channel talking about 6mm. We know we're not talking about 6mm. Ken, bugger off. Go and do your job. Sorry. Steve, carry on.
I was going to say that's why I like playing Space Hulk by Games Workshop. That is a game it's meant to be played fast. It comes with an egg timer.
Oh wow!
So because the Space Marine player has an egg timer to complete his turn, so it is fast paced. You know that you can have a game in less than an hour with the Space Hulk.
Yeah, but can they get
really brutal?
Sorry, say again.
I just remember playing that, and I was the space, and it was just brutal. I loved it. It was the only time Space Marine was getting chewed up, and I loved it.
So here's the thing. So there you go. That's inconsistency, Martin. You're talking about the fact you didn't like the fact you have all your figures and they're all being swept off the table, but then you're talking about a brutal game system. Is that because it's a sci-fi space system type thing?
Yeah, that's because it was a board game, and I differentiate that in my head.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, I'll let you off then. I'll let you off. Oh, jeez. What have we got here? Yeah, actually, Ralph's in the channel. Sorry, didn't see you, mate. He says another consideration for where you collect stuff. Maybe it may not be available in the future, or certainly will be a lot dearer. That's fair. That's true. Figures don't really go off. I mean, they can be a little bit outdated at times, but they don't really go off. So yeah, that's a fair point. That's what I justify to my wife. And Kaiser says, loves Medieval Warrior. My wife, of course, loves his voice. Yeah, he does have a really sexy voice. I'm not that way inclined at all, but he still does it for me. He's an amazing voice. Should be on the radio, really. Hi, Sebastian. How you doing, mate? And Miller's Miniatures is here as well. Yep, you're excused being late tonight, mate. We lost Ken. We decided his banter was just too boring. We got rid of him, so he's gone. But no, he's had to go to work, so he'll be back. Even better. Leslie's saying even better. 54 mil. Dom, I'm not changing scales. No, thank you. No. Ken's ranting about Warhammer Epic, so we'll ignore him. And Leslie's saying, no, you're correct. Painting. What did he say? No, you are correct, Dom. Painting some Romans tonight. Game of Sharp Practice last week, and Chain of Command before that. Yeah, Leslie's annoying us all by the fact he's in France and he's getting games down the club because the club has reopened for him. And that's really not fair. Although I actually think I will be getting a game in on Wednesday, because one of the guys I game with down at Farnborough, he said, "Oh, come round. It's going to be a nice evening. Apparently the weather's going to be nice all week, so I'm going to go round to his house and we're going to play in the garden, socially distancing, of course. Don't know what we're going to play. Might try the new Muskets and Tomahawks rules. Kind of have a fancy doing that. So I might try that. So if I do, I might do a video and show you good folks if you're interested. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. So, Phil's. Did we say hello to Phil? I think we did. Yeah. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, it's one of those things: collecting miniatures and the game systems you play, and a lot of it is, I think, driven by. Certainly for me, is driven by the people you play with, but it is also driven by influences like reading a book or watching a TV program, or I've even been known to build an army based on the fact I went into a museum and saw something that was absolutely stunning. I think it was the Scythian army. I went up to always been fascinated by the Scythians as a race, and they're the horse people from the steppes of Russia, for those who don't know. And the British Museum did an exhibition of the Scythians a couple of years ago now, and I went up to look at it. It was absolutely fascinating, really, really interesting. Because even though they're a nomadic horse tribe, they actually were incredibly good at producing gold artifacts and other sort of ornamental items. Didn't have any writing, so they didn't sort of keep records of things. But absolutely fascinating. I don't know why I'm telling you this, Martin. You're an archaeologist. You know all about this sort of stuff. But absolutely fascinating. And I immediately went out and bought a whole load of 28mm Scythian horsemen just to paint up. Even though I've got a garage full of them, but I just was so influenced by it. I thought it was awesome, absolutely awesome.
I just think sometimes it's dangerous when you watch something that you've never gamed before and you don't really know the history of. An example of this was last year. I started watching. There was a 2-part documentary series on BBC. It was called Rebels and Redcoats. It was about the American War of Independence.
Yeah.
Now I knew next to nothing about the AWI until that point. And as soon as I watched that, I actually watched it twice in the space of 2 weeks. I thought it was so good. I watched it again the following week.
Nice.
And I was like, this is a really, really good period to game. So I actually bought a box of Continental Infantry. Never painted them. I don't know whether I was distracted again or it was just the sheer amount of white on display put me off. But no, I'd still reckon that TV series. Anyone that doesn't know about the American War of Independence, it was such an eye opener for me because I knew nothing, but I learned so much. But it's dangerous. You see something and think, ooh, I could possibly game that at some point in the near future, and then never do like I do.
I have a theory that's the point where you should put your credit card away, is when you think I could possibly do this in the future, because if you get to that point, then you know it's just going to go in the garage for me. That's it's just
well,
yeah.
There's a tale that I want the guy that I run the channel with, Ian. There's a tale that I never let him forget. It must be years ago, about 6-7 years ago. I was sat in a hotel room in North Wales, and all of a sudden I got a text message. It just said, "I may have made a mistake," and I was like, "Why? What have you done?" And he sent me a photograph, and I think he was trying to recreate the English Civil War on a 1-to-1 scale. I've not. There was just boxes everywhere. I was like, I have so many questions to ask that I don't want to know the answer to. He ended up selling the entire lot. I think he painted half of one box, sold the rest. But it was just I may have made a mistake, and then just this photograph. It was a thing of beauty to behold. It was also a thing of complete insanity. I've never seen a collection that big outside of a shop before. But that is the danger of impulse buying when you're a war game. Oh dear.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. So here's the thing. So that does bring a question to mind. So do you have the discipline to just buy a unit or two at a time? Or do you go and buy, I know you talk about the starter army you got with the French there, but you know, would you normally just go and buy a couple of units, or would you go and buy, you know, 100 figures and then just, you know, add to it future?
I've done it a bit differently with my Great War Germans. They've been built as and when. So I started off with the Fallschirmjäger starter box. Then I've just added over and over. But with my Stalingrad Germans and my Australians, they were bought en masse. So they were all bought at the same time. In fact, my Australians were bought. Me and Ian went to Warlord HQ one Saturday, and I bought my entire Australian army in one go. But that is, I absolutely love that army. It was such a joy to paint. It really was.
What about you, Martin? Are you all in buyer, or do you got a bit of discipline?
No, I tend to do it in blocks because I see blocks as achievable. But then the moment I finish it, I'll be straight on the website. That's the thing. I think, you know, if I do set up a project, I'll pick out a couple of things that I like the look of, and then I'll buy those. And I guess that also tells me if I've got the staying power. Because I don't know if everyone else plays this, but there's times where I've bought things where I started an army and then I thought, oh, this is a great idea, and then I started painting it and going, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen. You know, I tend to do things just little blocks at a time. I find the best way for me.
So do you when you're painting, do you ever reward yourself?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
all the time. My reward at the moment is I'm basically painting this kind of. I assume he's meant to be like a historical King Arthur figure, but that's sort of his sort of thing. But that's the reward for painting just 40 of these just normal sort of gripping beasts.
No, my next reward is once I've got these 5 French done. I think that'll be another section, so that can go back to another light artillery piece and do another completely over the top inappropriate base for it. Then it's back to painting more infantry. So I go through the 5 and 10, then do something a bit interesting and a bit funky.
Is that? Do you think that just keeps your motivation, your mojo going? Then is that how, you know, doing it that way?
I think for me, it's colour. I spent so much time painting Germans and painting field grey, and it's the same thing and the same technique over and over again. Well, as much as I enjoy painting Germans, I could paint them every day, all day. I'm enjoying painting my French again because they're different. They're based differently. They're set in a completely different, part of Europe. Yeah. So the basing's a bit different to my Germans as well. But I think it's sort of having that painting smorgasbord type thing. So you just want to pick and choose from a few bits and pieces. But I'm trying. What was the last thing you painted that when you finished it you went, thank God for that. That's done and dusted, and I'm going to finish that now.
I did some American War of Independence British line troops, and they were Warlords plastics. I've got another 20 odd, no, maybe more than that, 30 or 40 of them still to do. But I did 8 of them, and at the end of that, I just thought, I don't want to do them anymore. I just really did not enjoy painting them. It was I've mentioned this before. I think that I hate the combination of red and white on the uniforms, which is a bummer because I love playing British in pretty much every of those those eras where they wore red and white almost always. And I just find it an absolute nightmare. Most of my Napoleonic British eBay purchases for that very reason. Ready painted because I just hate doing them. But I thought, this is stupid. I've got to get on with it. I've got to paint some. You know, I've overcome my fear of faced my fear of horses and painting them. That's all in the past. How hard can it be? Nah. No, just horrible. about you,
I
Martin?
don't know what mine would be.
What was yours, Martin?
I don't know. I could definitely say the Hanoverian Hussars that I painted put me off painting Napoleon, put me off cavalry until the contrast paints came out.
Right.
And because I remember what it was as well, because I don't know what anyone else does, but I like to find a video or a film or something and I put it on. And
Yeah.
I've got some really, really long films. So I put on a film called The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. It's a Ridley Scott he produces. It's got Brad Pitt in it, and it's really very historically accurate. And it's a slow burn film. It's nearly 3.5 hours long, and by the time it had finished, I'd only just finished doing the coats, and that's what I started on. And I had and it just broke me. It just utterly broke me, and that's why now I have no. There's no other. I've got cuirassiers, dragoons. I've got heavies. No more hussars ever. That's never going to happen again. And it just completely did it. I just couldn't do it anymore. There's been ones like the Italians that I did. They're all white, and at the end of it, I thought, yeah, good, I can have a breather. But no, definitely the hussars broke me. Completely broke me.
It's weird, isn't it? We all have our little pet hates and loves, and I mean,
I mentioned mine last week. The last ones, in fact, I think I've got them here. These guys.
oh, the planes for what's
Yeah, it's the Messerschmitts from Blood Red Skies. Oh God, just I sat down and painted it in one day. I painted one as a test. I thought, oh, that looks really good. So I decided to batch paint the next 5, and I felt physically drained by the end of it. I couldn't. I was like, that was exhausting. That was actually hard work. I didn't particularly enjoy any of that.
Brilliant. I think if we asked Ken, he'd say the Black Seas ships, because he still has only done one brig.
I could understand that.
They are a bit of a nightmare, to be absolutely honest. They are a bit of a nightmare. They are fiddly as hell. I don't mind the actual ships themselves. It's then trying to do the rigging and the sails and all that kind of stuff on top. Just freaking just a nightmare.
Oh God, that rigging. Oh God.
Jesus.
Oh my God. I remember after I finished the second one, the bigger ship, it took me 2 hours. And I sent a picture to my girlfriend, so look what I've been doing for 2 hours. And she was like, and what am I meant to say to this? She said, what is it? I said, it's a ship. How big is it? So I had to get like a 50p piece next to it so I could show it the exact size. And this way, the level of work I put into it compared to her enthusiasm, there's a slight disparity between the two. I was most annoyed.
Yeah, but then I find that generally with mine, you know, I've given up showing it to my wife, any kind of figures, because I'll show her and I'll get that, you know, that sort of, oh, that's nice, dear. And I think, oh, fuck off. Yeah, just horrible. Who we got? Nick Games was laughing at you, Martin, about your early morning purchase or your drinking purchase. Yeah, we're just talking about that one, yeah. Nick. Very funny, very funny indeed. Dear. Miller asks, does the idea of starting a new army or project, especially one that would need to be very large, ever put you off before you even begin? For me, no, doesn't at all. Surprise, surprise, but it doesn't. I think it's just for me. It's about picking off bits, make it manageable. I mean, I've said many times on the channel and on streams, I paint purely to get the figures on the table and play with them. You know, that I try and make them as nice as I can make them, but I'm not a painter or a modeler. For me, it's a will they look good at 3 foot away? Will I be happy to play with them? And not be too ashamed by them. That's my criteria, really. So, a big army.
Yeah, I think that
doesn't bother me.
The 3 foot rule for me is an important one. If it looks okay from 3 feet away, you're golden. That's it. End of. There's no need to be any harsher on yourself than you are. 3 foot. Yeah, up the range for me.
Yeah. What about you, Martin? Would you go into a big project knowing with your eyes open, thinking, looking forward to it?
I would probably try and coerce one of my friends to take it on, and I feel less bad at the same time. So if my wife does sort of point anything out, I just say, well, so and so is doing it as well with me, so it's not that bad because he's doing 50% of it, rather than he's bought exactly the same amount as me. We're doing it this way. I don't think the idea of how large a force is ever puts me off. Maybe the sort of breadth of gaming I could get out of it, because I've always been really tempted by the Rorke's Drift set from Warlord.
Right.
But how many times am I going to play the same scenario?
Yeah.
And I know you've got the whole Anglo-Zulu War, but it's not, as far as my knowledge is, it's not a large conflict. It didn't last a huge amount of years. So how much varied gaming am I going to get out of it? I mean, my introduction to Black Powder was the only reason I collect Black Powder is because I won the La Haye-Sainte battle set.
Right.
So I'd always looked at it and I'd gone, now I'm going to need loads, and I won it, and then I just carried on buying it and buying it and buying it. So if that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have got it, because I'd have just thought, I'm only going to play that one scenario. So,
I don't think that,
I like to look at.
I'm sure there aren't that many people who literally just sit down and go, right, I'm going to build the entire, central army from the invasion of Russia. They'll all start with a sort of small scale thing and build it up anyway, wouldn't they? I mean, it's hard to think of. I'm trying to think through where a scenario would be where you would just sort of go, right, it would be such a vast project. Apart from maybe putting on a display game or a convention of some sort that you'd need. I remember many moons ago putting on a game at the old Salute when it was at Kensington Town Hall. The three of us put on Refighter Raffia in 15mm, and that was a massive project. And we got all the figures together between us, the three of us, and I can't remember the scale now, but I think it was like 1:20 or something like that. And it was enormous. The battlefield area with 15mm figures was 20 foot by 4 foot, I think it was. And there was chariots and elephants and pikemen everywhere, and it was a massive undertaking. I think that's as close as it came. But I think that was, a lot of it was started with, well, what have we got the most of? Well, we got lots of pikemen. Okay, we got lots of this, we got lots of that. So you then sort of had a starting point and didn't seem quite so daunting. But I think that's the closest I've ever come.
If you've got a purpose, well, like you said, you're putting on a demonstration game, so you've got that to work towards. There's an objective, there's a point of painting them.
Yeah.
If someone said to me, right, you've got to sit down and paint, 2,000 points worth of metal French Napoleonics, I'd be like, yeah, and I'll see in about 15 years' time when I finished it. If you've got that finishing point or that objective to get them done for, that always helps.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's always, for me, it's always got to be, so am I going to enjoy this? If I'm committing to a project that's going to take up 6-8 weeks, am I going to enjoy it, or am I going to look back and think, well, I just wasted precious painting time?
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I've just changed the setting. Sorry, guys. So what have we got? Alpha says he's got 10mm 30-year war, 10mm Napoleonic, 28mm Napoleonic, 28mm World War II, D&D, and 8-inch Daleks all on the go. Never gets boring. That's a hell of a variety there, going from 10mm to 28mm.
Yes, that's
wow.
Yeah.
that's some serious diversity going on there.
That certainly is. My goodness me. And Nick says 15mm tanks are my nightmare to paint. Really? To me, they're easy. Dish, dosh, dish, aren't they? Easy peasy.
Oh, yeah. When I used to play Flames of War, painting a tiger or a stug, easy.
Yeah. I'm surprised by that. To me, I mean, even my limited. Ken, go away, go and do some work. He's saying 2,000 points of Imperial Guard. We all know, Ken, that you would never do that. You'd get Liam to paint it. That's what you'd do, because you're just Taskmaster. We know that. Yeah, yeah, 15mm tanks. I haven't done many 50, but I've done 20mm, and they were doddle. They were great fun. But maybe just Nick does such a great job with them compared to what I would do. That's weird. That's weird. Paul Richardson says we put on a display game of Antiem centered around the Dunker Church and the cornfield, which was a big undertaking, and that wasn't the whole battle. I think any of those kind of demo games, display games, take a hell of a lot of work, and my hat goes off to anybody who does them. They're a labour of love, absolute labour of love, and we all go around and look at them and say, oh yeah, that's great, and then we move on and we don't realise quite how much work's gone into setting these damn things up. They're enormous, immense things. Ever wanted to put on a demo game or anything like that, guys?
I don't mind. I've thought about demoing, especially off the back of doing the channel, some of the lesser known games that I enjoy playing for people, but never sort of like a big battle or anything like that, like a display game.
What about you, Steve?
There's a newer gaming club just opened in the town where I live. I think at the moment it's predominantly 40k.
Yeah.
But the guy that runs it has asked me when we're all clear and we can all mingle again, if I wanted to pop in and show people all about bolt action. There's got a lot of people there into bolt action.
Right.
I don't know whether they've played the games yet, but I've said, yeah, I'll get involved in that. I wouldn't mind teaching people bolt action because it's such a play game. You can teach someone to play it in half an hour. Yeah. So yeah, I'd definitely be up for that.
Yeah, I think well, apart from the one I put on at Sleet all those years ago, and it was 100 years ago. Last year, was it last year? It must have been last year. My club, as fact, it's this weekend. It should be our annual convention, our annual show. I mean, it's a pretty tiny one, obviously, but it's obviously it's not happening this year. But that I put on a bolt action sort of participation game. Me and my mate Jonathan, we put one on, and it was good fun. It was really good. Like you say, Steve, it's an ideal sort of game to get people just to come up and have a go at, because it's not that complicated really. And if they've got some interest in World War II, they know roughly don't rush out in front of a tank unless you're suicidal and Japanese. What's it meant with bamboo sticks, which seem to be the only way you can get away with it. Not that I'm bitter about things like that. But yeah, I think it's a good fun, and I do enjoy that sort of thing. I think it's a really good thing, and I'm always impressed with people when they put all that effort into building these things up. It's really, really good. Helping people to learn.
For me, I was just happy there's going to be some bolt action opponents around here. Like I say, it's predominantly a 40k town. It's not many in the way of historical gaming. So hopefully when we get back to normal, hopefully that'll kick off and there'll be a whole raft of new opponents for us.
That's good. That's good. You said you don't go to a club, Martin, is that right? You just with your mate?
No, there's a couple of clubs in here in Cambridge, but we it's predominantly 40k and bolt action. In fact, I go down there very, very rarely, but my mate who I game with, he goes down there and he likes to take lots of different games down there just to see if anyone's going to come over and have a look. So he goes over with the other guy we game with, and they'll be playing things like Burrows and Badgers, or that big Joan of Arc game that came out recently through Mythic, all sorts of different things. And no one ever comes over. It's just they're very, very locked into 40k. So whereas we like to play lots of varied games. So we play bolt action. We play Black Powder, obviously, Saga. I'm just looking around. Bushido, it's another one. I'm just looking around all the different models that we've got. Fire and Sword, Lord of the Rings, Infinity. God, everything. Really. If someone, what tends to happen is someone picks up a rule book and says, "I like the look of this. Do you guys just want to get like a force?" And everyone just goes yes before they even really look at it.
The persuasion factor of somebody else buying the rules. Yeah, it's a killer. I have to say down at Farnborough, I think I'm one of the one of the worst instigators of that. I'll come in and say, "Oh, look at this! Anyone fancy it?" It's like, oh bugger, here we go again. It's my fault that we got SPQR because of that. I'm so sorry.
What?
I'm so
What
sorry.
actually happened to SPQR? What happened to it?
Well, hopefully it's just been expunged from everyone's memory, and a bit like the old Men in Black, wiped from their memory. Hopefully, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I was really interested in that, and then I watched your videos.
I'm
really
being,
so bad?
I'm not being. I'm making it out worse than it actually was. I think it was grossly oversimplified. Very, very poorly play tested, in my opinion, and just simplified down to the ridiculous levels that just made no sense. And we tried to house rule it, and in the end, it was sort of the house rules becoming longer than the actual proper rules. And I just thought, this is stupid. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure people. I'm not getting at people because I'm sure some people love playing it, and good luck to them. I'm not going to knock it. Personally, I thought it was. I think what disappointed me was I was so looking forward to a really good sort of small scale Ancients, because Ancients is the thing that I love the most probably of all periods, and I haven't really played much Ancients since. Well, this will annoy Leslie. Warhammer Ancient Battles was the last sort of thing I really enjoyed playing Ancients with, and I was really excited about it. And I know they came out while I was on holiday in was it Rhodes? I think it was last year, and I was so excited. I knew they'd arrived, and they were sitting on my mat. And I was so excited, and I went to all these sites, and I decided my army was going to be based on one of the sites, and then played it, and I thought, I'm missing something. This doesn't work. What's going wrong? What have I got wrong? And played it again the next week, and it's like, no, it's still not right. There's something seriously wrong. Okay, we'll change a few things. No, let's just bin it. That was kind of the process. Hey ho, it is one of those things. It's, but not for everybody. What we got around here? Nick says, I watched on TV an episode of Midsummer Murders, late 90s, with my girlfriend. They had a drama around a wargaming table with Perry miniatures, English Civil War. I jumped up and pointed at the TV. Look, Perry miniatures! She just looked at me like I was an idiot. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I'd get too, to be honest. Actually, how sad is my wife would actually come and say, "Oh, there's soldiers on the telly. Do you want to see?" That would be her one. So that'd be quite fun. That's brilliant. Ay. Blimey, we're getting towards 2 hours, so we're coming towards the end. But I've just got to leave you with... So I'm starting to do this as another regular feature. I'm getting my Dan Snow on this day in history book here. So do you know what today is? You two will know what the anniversary is today. I bet.
Today is the anniversary of Barbarossa.
It is indeed. It is indeed the opening of Barbarossa and the opening of Napoleon's invasion of Russia. Exactly the same day. There you go. So 22nd of June, two invasions of Russia began today, 139 years apart. There you go. And for our Scottish friends, tomorrow is the anniversary of Bannockburn, but we won't talk about that. So there you go. There's where we are. What have we got here? Paul says SPQR couldn't make up its mind whether it wanted to be a skirmish game or a battle game. Who knows? Who cares? Yeah, that's my feeling too. Miller Mincher says, I wish they had managed to make a later version of SPQR, as I'm looking to a skirmish game for War of the Roses, but I'm struggling to find one. Skirmish game for medieval? Anybody? What do you reckon, Martin?
Lion Rampant.
Lion Rampant. Yeah, that's what everyone recommends, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there is, apart from that, there is really a full set of sort of skirmish rules for that. You say you got the guy Andy Hobday did Baron's War. Maybe there'll be someone can sort of house rule. The problem is that with the War of Roses, gunpowder starts appearing with cannons and handgunners. So you've got to think about adding that in. Yeah,
I think I'm kind of interested by Andy Hobday. So Andy Hobday, for those who don't know, did this Kickstarter. For the Baron Wars, he's done 2 now. Really, really nice figures. But he's also done a rule set for them, which is small scale skirmish. So it might fit what you're looking for, Miller. But as Martin says, it will be very early period compared to the War of the Roses, which has a lot more plate armor and guns and crossbow. Actually, no, the early period has crossbows, but it's sort of, you'd have to adapt it a little bit, but at least be all right, I suppose. Lords and Servants. I've never heard of that one, Paul. Never heard of that one. But anyway, no, Nick, it wasn't Battle of Waterloo. That was last week. Battle of Waterloo. Keep up with your dates, mate. For God's sake. Anyway, folks, that is 2 hours. I'm sorry. Thank you for everybody joining us. Thank you, Martin and Steve, for joining us this week. Really appreciate it. Well, joining me, because I've been abandoned by my co-host for this week. Now, next week, we're hoping we're going to have a special guest from Offensive Miniatures. Is going to join us. Paul, who runs that business, is going to come on and talk to us about how he designs his wonderful figures. He does all the absolutely fantastic Second World War and Napoleonic figures, 28 mils.
Yes.
Really, really good company. I love his stuff. I've spent far too much money with them. Apparently they've had a really good lockdown because of me, which is kind of fun. So I said, well, you've got to come on the channel as a result. So he's going to come on and have a chat and hopefully show us some of the projects he's working on. If we get all the technology working, which could be a bit of a problem, we'll see. But so watch out for that. Hopefully that will be on next week, and hopefully Ken will be back as well for next week. But thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for the guys for contributing, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now. Right, I think we are dead. There we go.